She had the best of both worlds, but behind the scenes, everything was starting to crack. Hi, my name's Lucy and welcome back to my channel. Hannah Montana looked like the perfect Disney fantasy, one of the most perfect Disney Channel sitcoms I feel that we can all relate to in some way. Identity struggles and personal fallouts that followed the cast from then on after the cameras stopped rolling. This stuff followed them for years and still does to this day. In this video, we're going to break down and do a mini deep dive into the dark side of Hannah Montana, which isn't really what Hannah Montana fans want to hear, but let's be honest, you're curious, I was curious, let's do this. So when the show Hannah Montana launched on Disney Channel, it didn't just succeed, it became a global phenomenon overnight, which boosted Miley Cyrus's fame almost instantly. So one day she was just your average teenage girl, the next day she was this global sensation where she'd be recognised pretty much everywhere she went. It overtook everything, and at the centre of that was Miley Cyrus. But around her was the entire cast being pulled into the same system, like Miley Cyrus spotlight. So you've got her dad, Billy Ray Cyrus, her co-star Emily Osment, who plays one of her best friends, Lily, and Mitchell Musso, who also plays one of Hannah's best friends. This wasn't just a show, it was a constant cycle of production, promotion, and most of all, pressure. Because of obviously the show's synopsis and where it came from and Miley's background as a whole, Miley wasn't just ever acting, like that wasn't it, that isn't where her day ended. It was touring, recording, filming, and ultimately growing up in the public eye. All at the same time, that this was all simultaneous. At this point, especially when Hannah Montana had premiered, there was no distinction between Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana. It all merged into one, which obviously caused a lot of identity issues, which is why years later, especially after the Hannah Montana show ended, we see Miley Cyrus trying to be very controversial and break free in any kind of way she can think of, or her management can think of, from this Disney image that she's been tied to from the age of 11. The character didn't just define her career, it kind of overtook her identity. And I feel like we can all relate to some kind of identity issue. That's not who I am, I don't want to be that anymore, I want to reinvent myself. And doing all that in the public eye is always a messy transition. So Billy Ray Cyrus, who was Miley's on-screen dad in the sitcom Hannah Montana, and also her real dad in real life, he expressed a lot of family struggles and personal issues that the Cyrus family went through whilst filming Hannah Montana, and what the show actually did behind the scenes. So to viewers on the show, he was like a really supportive dad, doing the best where he could as a single dad. But in real life, the situation was way more complicated. And honestly, it's actually so disappointing to have to say this about Billy Ray Cyrus because I loved him in Hannah Montana. I believe it was around 2011 where Billy Ray Cyrus stating that the show had negatively impacted his life, his family life. His marriage to Miley's mother, Tish, broke down. The family faced intense public scrutiny, and private issues essentially became a public conversation, which is what happens in the public eye. Over the years, there have been many occasions where the relationship between Billy and his daughter Miley have seemed so estranged and really, really kind of sad for fans to see, because obviously we watched them growing up on the Disney Channel. We always loved that father-daughter relationship. It was just something that was very heartbreaking to actually see happening behind the scenes, and it only came out a year or two after Hannah Montana had finished. So in particular, there were major life struggles, i.e. the divorce between Billy Ray and Tish, Miley's mum, where Miley and Billy became very estranged. It's only in very recent years that they've been reconciling, not frequently, but every so often. On many occasions, they weren't seen out public together for long periods of time. Family divisions were widely reported. And alongside that, Billy Ray Cyrus's own relationships and marriages, his marriages after Tish, became very public, and I don't even have the words for what I'm about to say because I'm so disappointed with Billy Ray Cyrus. I used to love him in Hannah Montana. I used to love him and Miley, but I felt like Miley did with and has been feeling with her dad over the last few years, especially as this new information has come out. His life remained under a lot of media attention after the show ended. Most recently, over the last year, he got married and divorced again within the same year to the same person, Firestone, who's a young Australian singer. And I believe she was on the set of Hannah Montana at one point, which is how they met. Obviously, there's a huge age difference here, which sparked a lot of anger and hate towards Billy Ray Cyrus. And that's probably, I know if I was in Miley's shoes, that would probably be the reason I steered clear from my dad. But the fact is, it wasn't even just about the age gap. I've said before, age gap relationships aren't a major deal if you're both adults. However, there is definitely a fine line. If you've got children around that same age and you met them whilst on a show working with your child, that's just messed up to me. So, but putting that aside, he released a voice recording of Billy Ray Cyrus shouting emotional abuse down the phone, calling her this, calling her. So I'm gonna play this for you now, but just be aware that there's quite a bit of not very nice language.
It's 9:15, you idiot.
It's not 9:15.
I needed to leave 2 hours ago.
No, you didn't. You can still leave and get there. And
Get out of here.
Please.
I'm not in no place to go do a show. I had to go when I was ready to go. If you would have just shut the up,
screaming at
if
me.
you would have just left it the
Sorry,
alone.
I shouldn't.
If you would have left it alone when I told you it's done. Now I'm really pissed. You once again showed me you will not listen. I don't know who the you think you are, but you will not listen. And this ain't about your bracket. This ain't about your surgery. This ain't about nothing. This is about you being a selfish.
I heard that and I was absolutely gobsmacked. I could not believe that Billy Ray would speak to somebody like that, and a young woman. I don't care whether it's your wife, a co-worker or what, but to speak to anybody like that is disgusting. And this was the so-called respectable on-screen dad on Hannah Montana. The man playing the perfect TV father was navigating some kind of reality that was far from stable. And then we've got Emily Osment, who plays the best friend, Lily Truscott. Emily Osment lived a very different version of the same experience that Miley Cyrus experienced through the show Hannah Montana. Let me explain. So Emily was recognised, she was successful, she had a background in the performing arts even before Miley Cyrus came onto the scene as Hannah Montana. But she wasn't the central figure of that show. And because of how popular that show was and how much it pushed for Miley's career to become a sensation overnight, it put a shadow over Emily Osment. She was kind of not overwhelmed by the fame, but she was also encroaching unintentionally on someone else's fame, which is why she then later moved into independent acting, music, and a quieter but more controlled career path, and far away from her Disney identity, because if she goes back with this Disney identity, she's immediately associated with Miley Cyrus, whether she likes it or not. So I think since Hannah Montana ended, Emily Osment has really tried hard to steer clear of anything to do with the Disney Channel and Hannah Montana, which is more than likely, just a theory, but more than likely why she didn't appear in that special. I do know she announced it was to do with some kind of work conflict, but no girl. And then there's Mitchell Musso, who plays Hannah Montana, aka Miley Cyrus's other best friend, Oliver Oakham. Now, he was one of the show's breakout stars because obviously he was a main character alongside Miley Cyrus and Emily Osment. But after Hannah Montana had ended in 2011, he was arrested on suspicion of DUI whilst underage. Not exactly the image you want for a Disney Channel star, or you can envision for a Disney Channel star. I guess now you can, because it seems to be so common. But of course, there were immediate consequences for this. He had quite a few upcoming Disney projects, which were all completely affected. And because of this, his public image changed very quickly. Later, there were a lot of additional Later there were a lot of additional legal issues that were brought to light, including public intoxication related incidents, and that all kept him in the headlines. Not in the way I guess he wanted or fans would have expected. But these moments weren't just scandals. They showed how difficult it can be to transition from childhood to adulthood in the public eye, especially when you're one of the Disney Channel's biggest stars. And most recently, in 2023, Mitchell Musso was not, I don't think he had paid for a bag of crisps, and your Americans would say chips, but he didn't pay for a bag of crisps, and that's where that led to some other arrests or charges. Apparently, allegedly, he had many outstanding warrants. Late 2023, I do believe the charges were dismissed. So there hasn't been anything since then, which is good, I guess. It's progress, unless he's in away with murder, I don't know. All of these stories connect back to one thing: a system that builds stars quickly, maintains strict rules, and doesn't intend on slowing down anytime soon. These guys were told how to act, what to wear, what to say, and how to say things. This is a lot of pressure, especially for any kid. These guys were really, really young when the production for Hannah Montana started, like the other sitcoms. So that kind of pressure on someone that young in particular is going to have profound effects, positively and negatively, but more than anything negatively, which is exactly what we've explored in this mini deep dive. That doesn't really excuse Billy Ray's behaviour, because I don't have words for that one. Ultimately, Hannah Montana defined a generation, but behind the success, you had the strain on the family's personal lives, you had identity confusion and public mistakes that never stayed private. But behind the show, you had personal issues, family issues going on. For some, this show was an opportunity, but for others, it came with lasting challenges. So you get the best of both worlds. Wow, that was cheesy. You get the best of both worlds, but do you? Do you really? That balance was never as perfect as it seemed. Certainly not as perfect as the show made out, but then again, there were moments in the show where it was becoming more realistic to show what actually it would be like when you're famous. That's it for this video, guys. If you really liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs. And if you want more mini deep dive videos into the dark side of a TV show or anything else pop culture related, internet mystery related, then please let me know down in the comments and subscribe for more. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.